Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey, either way, hey y'all. So today I want to talk about waiting on God. Okay, so a lot of people, I know you've heard people say wait on the Lord or wait on God, but people don't really specify, what that means. So in our journey or our spiritual journey, our journey with God, we go through different seasons, and in these seasons you have different assignments, and sometimes your assignments call for you to be play a certain role, maybe like just being a mom, or in your next season might consist of you being a wife, and your next season might consist of you being a mom, wife, and something else. You never know. But in each season, you have to be willing to wait on God, okay? So sometimes we get impatient, and I'm just going to say this, like, just because your life doesn't look the way that somebody else looks, like as far as where you are or what you have and things like that, that doesn't mean that God isn't in the mix of your life. That doesn't mean that God isn't there. Everybody has a different path. Everybody lives a different life. We are all an expression of God, and he put us all here to experience life in a different way, okay? So say for instance you are and I don't want to say the worst, but say for instance you're in a bad situation, it feels bad to you. That doesn't mean that God isn't there, okay? It's just the season that you're in, okay? And just because you look at somebody else and they may be in the season of happiness and pleasure and things like that, that doesn't mean that God is just with them, okay? It means that you're in the season of your life because this is where you were born, this is how you were born, this is how God made you, okay? And they're in their season of where they are because that's how they were born, that's how God made them, and that's their situation, okay? So just because your situation doesn't look like somebody else's doesn't mean that God isn't still in the mix of your life. And I just want to specify that because it's people, or and not trying to whatever, but I'm just gonna tell the truth, it's people out here who don't who don't specify that just because you don't see the works of God in your life right now, or not even see them, but just because your life isn't doesn't look blissful and things like that, that God is not blessing you. Each day that you wake up is a blessing from God. Each day that you're able to roll over and see the person that you love is a blessing from God. Each day you're able to put on your shoes and walk around, that's a blessing from God, okay? So God is blessing us everywhere we are. God is blessing us every step we take, okay? So I just wanted to make that clear. God loves us all, okay? And it's so much more to that, but I do want to yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. So y'all, each each season God requires us a certain level of patience. And during the wait, we tend to get incomplacent or maybe sometime uncomfortable. And we want to, venture out or do something that is not it's not time for us to do, right? And because we don't know what God is doing in our lives, we try to move ahead of him because we know or we can see, what God has for us, or we know what we're capable of because of the things that God put inside of us. So instead of preparing in this season, we move ahead, and move too fast, and then go ahead of God, and this is where we start to mess up and things like that. So first of all, I just want to say, and I'm not going to go into the chapter or whatever, but this is the instance of, David. So David was in a season, right? Was it Samuel? No, Samuel is the one who went and got David. So David was in a season where he was tending to the sheep, right? And God sent for Samuel to go get David from in the season that he was in. But say that David didn't he didn't stay tending the sheep where he was at in the season where he was at fighting the lions and things like that. He wouldn't David wouldn't have been ready for Goliath. Okay. So if he rushed out of the season that he was in, he wouldn't have been ready to go up against Goliath. As a matter of fact, y'all, I do want to read it because this is a good story. Okay, so but I'm not going, hold on, let me see. So just the backstory of what I'm trying to relay with David. Okay, so it says that this is God. He said, he talking to Samuel. He says, I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king. Okay, so when Samuel gets there, y'all, he goes through like five sons, right? Because the dad, or hold on, let me make sure. The Lord looks at the things of people, but the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or height. So the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or height. So when picking the son, because if Samuel would have considered the way that he looked, or what, this is a whole nother story, but anyway, this goes into me saying that it don't matter what season that you in, y'all. It doesn't matter what, God is with you, okay? So just no, okay? So he says, but the Lord says, do not consider his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. So God is saying it don't matter what the person looks like. Don't consider his height. Don't consider his appearance. If I chose him, then I chose him, okay? So then he goes to say, um, so God, Jesse then says to pass by, but Samuel says, okay, so basically the dad Jesse is giving him all the sons that he wants him to look at or whatever. And then so Samuel's like, is this all your sons or whatever? And he was like, yeah. And then God was like, something, that's not right. It's because he didn't pick the one that I'm looking for, right? So then Jesse says they're still the youngest and he tends to the sheep. Okay. So that's what I want to say. Again, y'all, it's all tying together. It's all tying together. It don't matter what you look like. It's about the seasons, okay, and the preparation that you allow God to do in your life, okay? And that is what qualifies you for the assignment or what God has for you or in your blessings, okay? So it don't matter what your life is looking like or what somebody else has or anything like that. All that matters is that you stay still and you let God prepare you for the things that he has for you. All you have to do is be strong and endure, y'all. Just endure what's going on around you. And I know sometimes it may be easier said than done, but these trials and tribulations that you are going through are preparing you for your greater, okay? It's preparing you for the things that you can't hold on to, y'all. Okay, so we we all have a purpose. We all have things that God has given us, gifts and things like that or whatever. So we they're already ours. But because of the hate in the world, because of the what else? The trauma that we go through as as we grow, we aren't able to see the blessings that God has for us that's already ours. Okay. So God has to put us through these things to break off of the traumas and the whatever the afflictions and things that we go through, so then we can be made new again, so he can dust the dirt off of whatever other people put on us that didn't heal themselves. Okay. And that's, y'all, that's a whole nother word, y'all. But okay, so what I was saying is how if David didn't allow God to put him through the afflictions or the season of tending to the sheep, then he wouldn't be able to stand Goliath. Okay, so this is just an example. And then so David Saul so David but David said to Saul, your servant has been keeping. So David was like, don't worry, I can fight Goliath. I can do this. I know I can do this because I know what God put inside of me. Okay. And um because Saul was like, no, I don't think you should do it because you you're not prepared for this or whatever. And David said, your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. Okay, so just because it looks like God has you just being a parent or just doing this or just being that, that doesn't mean that he's not instilling and preparing you for the next stage of your life. Okay, because God's ways is not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. And while we sitting up here thinking, oh, I'm bored, oh, I'm tired of doing this repetitively, and this and that, this is God preparing you for your next season. He is making you ready to be able to do the things that you're asking for. Because, like I said, the things that you're asking for, they're already yours, but you just didn't know it because it was people around you afflicting you and causing pain to you. And every time you thought that you was about to receive your blessing, somebody who knew the blessings that God put inside of you, somebody who knew the gifts that God put inside of you, was telling you that you wasn't good enough, or making you feel like you wasn't good enough, or taking your blessings away from you. Okay, so it doesn't matter what season that you're in, just know that God is working on you, that you're still in the mix. Okay, it doesn't matter. I don't want to say the worst of where you may be. Okay, because whatever, but just know that if you are hurting and if you are going through any type of battle, persist. Okay, and build your relationship with God. Like, we wonder why we still going through the things that we going through, is because we have no spiritual backing. We have no spiritual balance. We have no spiritual nothing. Like, you have to build yourself spiritually in order to navigate through this physical realm. Okay, because it first starts in the spirit. We are spiritual beings living a physical life in an experience, but it all comes from the spirit. Okay, so you have to build your spirit, man, in order to navigate this physical realm. Okay, because you better believe that whoever's inflicting you, they have some type of spiritual backing, and it may not be God. I'm just saying, it's different things here. And like, I'm not gonna go all into that, but you have to have your spiritual backing. Okay, you have to be able to learn how to fight the physical in a spiritual way. But yeah, y'all, I hope I ain't go too far out of what I was trying to say, y'all. But endure these seasons. Stick in the season that God has you in. Become the best you in this season that you can be. And yeah, and that's all I got to say. I love y'all. And until next time, see you later.